talk to you. I got how all this started. I got a message from Samantha, and she expressed some interest in us setting up an interview with you, and she sent me some of the material, and I said, man, how have I not heard of this guy before? And that's very impressive stuff, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on, man.
Hey, absolutely. I love to hear new music, and there's just so many great musicians out there, that people just need to hear, and the word never gets spread for them, and we don't only like to well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. The word definitely doesn't get spread, enough.
That's the truth.
For sure.
That's the truth, and we like to, I know all the places always like to interview like the big guys, the big names, and but we don't really like to just do that. We like to, to give, the musicians out there that don't actually, get the word spread out enough for them, and they're just as good as the big guys are. Just need a chance to, to be heard, and we like to hear that. We like to, get the word out for, for guys like yourself, mega talents, that needs to be heard, man.
That's great. That's great. That seems to be the way. That's kind of the good thing I like about the new ways of the way things are these days with social media, internet radio stations, and it's a lot easier for the little guys now to get their stuff out there.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Exactly. It's it's a good thing. Some ways it's a bad thing, because everybody just gets saturated with it. But but for artists to have a chance to to get themselves out there and get their music heard, I agree with you. I think it's a good thing now. I think you could reach more people now, definitely, than you ever had a chance to before.
Oh, for sure.
Well, anyway, to start out, Mikey, I got a chance to, listen to, some of the albums and watch some of the YouTube performances, which I think are really cool. It's always good to see a guy up there and just, really just bearing his soul and getting out there and playing some great stuff, man. And for the people that, like myself, can you educate us a little bit? How'd you get started? What was the thing that triggered you to pick up a guitar?
When I was younger, I always had this thing, I guess, when I was a little kid, like a toddler, about these little plastic guitars, little toys and stuff. And it always seemed like I always gravitated towards the guitar toys, and then when I was 8 or 9 years old, my dad had taught me a blues lick on an acoustic, a standard little blues roll, a little blues standard E rhythm, and I just kind of, it never really sticks when you're a young kid. Sometimes, when you're a little boy, you just kind of, you got a lot of other things. But it was always, my dad was always listening to, him and his friends hanging out, listening to Van Halen and Edgar Winter. Name it, all the good stuff, obviously. And Black Sabbath and. So I was stealing his records and listening to them, when I was a little kid.
Yeah,
8, 9 years old. Right, 8, 9 years old, I'm spinning Sabbath, up there in my room. So, it's always been music, basically, as far as my life goes. Music, no matter what, you go through a lot of things in life, obviously, more than just one or two things, but the music has always been the one thing, whether I've been playing guitar or just, like a lot of maybe the lonelier years of my life, just cranking my stereo up all the way and jamming out to my favorite stuff, playing air guitar or whatever. But, as far as the guitar goes, when I was a teenager, a buddy of mine had got a drum set and wanted to learn how to play drums. I said, oh, man, I learned how to play guitar when I was like 8, I know a couple little things,
Right.
So I taught my parents into buying me an electric guitar, I'm about 15 about this time, and that's kind of, it all went from there. At that time I was listening to a lot of Megadeth and Iron Maiden and stuff like that. And I was still a big Eddie freak, loved Eddie, always loved Eddie. So that's kind of where it started,
I think what's cool is you mentioned some of the things that you were listening to, and I think that really comes out in your music too, like your style, because I see so many different blends in there. I see, like you said, Eddie, and but I also see some Steve Vai in there. I see some Satriani.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's really cool to have those guys as influences. That's major stuff.
Right. Well, that was way, and the funny thing about that is like I said, I was really into thrash metal when I started playing guitar. So, I was into Marty Friedman and those guys, but I didn't know Marty Friedman from the Cacophony or as a virtuoso. I knew Marty Friedman, at this time I'm a young kid. I know him as Megadeth's guitar player,
Right.
So out of there, I didn't really get into the Steve Vais and the Joe Satriani's at that time because, you're a teenager, you're jamming in the thrash metal band, you and your buddies form, and, you're not going to tell people you listen to that stuff,
Right.
Don't tell my metal friends I listen to Steve Vai,
Right.
And I really wasn't listening to that stuff. I really wasn't interested. It wasn't heavy for me. I was, into Slayer and all that shit. So
Right.
And what happened was I had moved out when I was like 18 years old, and my roommate was an older guy, and he turned me on to a cassette tape, which was Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force.
Right.
He's like, oh, you like to play guitar. You'll like this. I said, well, what the hell is this?
Right.
I put it in, and that was it, man. That's like, I was like, wow, it's that whole instrumental guitar thing, but it's heavy metal, because, let's face it, anything classical sounding with electrical instruments is going to be metal, So, from there, then, obviously now I venture out from there. I get into, the Steve Vais and the Joe Satriani's, and then I'm in being a metal guy, I wasn't really into the hair metal, but now, that I've discovered Yngwie and Vai and all them, now I'm listening to, like Vivian Campbell and, the Red Beaches and, all those guys, man. And I'm like, wow, So, yeah, if I would have to say, that record totally changed where I was with the guitar at the time. That record, Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force, just totally steered me in a whole other direction as a musician, basically, So that's how that all came about, all the other influences.
And you bringing that up is I remember the first time I heard Yngwie too. I mean, he's just one of those guys. When you first hear him, you're just blown away. I mean, the guy, back then, was doing something different. I mean, you had, Eddie playing one style, and then you get this guy coming in as a shredder playing, the classical style. With, I mean, just full balls to the wall. I mean, just amazing, and that's great stuff.
Yeah, and that's a lot of things. I think that a lot of people these days either forget or some of them they're too young to know. I mean, Yngwie, there's guys out now that are twice as fast and they're twice as accurate or they sound exactly like him, and that's all good. But
right.
You got to keep in mind that when that came out, the time period that he came out, that didn't exist.
Exactly.
If it did, it was very underground.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, you've got to. The same with Eddie. Yeah, the whammy bar, the tapping, and everybody's doing it now, and was doing it during the '80s. But when he was doing it, it was either not heard of, or there was very little of it. So you got your pioneers, that paved the way, and you just can't lose sight of that. You got to think about where it all came from. Sometimes, that really helps a lot when you're influenced in that way.
It's cool that that you're humble like that, and you think that way, because I know. I'm not saying there's a lot of them, but there are ones out there that don't look back at the history and really appreciate where these guys came from, and how much that influences, you know, the musical styles that we have today and the modern guitars.
Oh, exactly, 100%. Yeah, you know, and I mean, even, you know, and you look at guys like that, and, you know, it's like I said before, I know I'm doing the guitar virtuoso kind of actor or whatever, but, you know, I'm not to that level, you know, but those guys, you know, there are those 5 or 10 guys that are just, you know, they're on a whole other planet, you know,
right.
sometimes you can't gauge, sometimes you can't gauge, you know, what the whole scene or the whole genre on just those 10 people. You know, those guys are an exception to the rule. You know, they're very special, one of a kind. So,
right.
I am, you know, I'm kind of a sloppy guitar player, I think, but, you know, at the same thing, you know, I don't want to be one of those, you know, perfectly polished, technical, you know, sweep arpeggio guitar players. I really, at the same time, you know, I kind of enjoy some of the old, you know, the Jimmy Page stuff and some of the old Hendrix shit where, you know, some of the stuff, some of his licks, you know, he made up right there accidentally, you know.
Right.
You know, one night live, maybe he hit the whammy bar a certain way during a certain point of the feedback and figured out a new trick that, you know, he then became, you know, you then start doing it all the time. But, you know, to me, sometimes that's how some of the coolest licks are made up. Some of your sloppiest, maybe desperate moments, some of your cooler licks are usually made up in that time. For sure.
Right, you're exactly right, and it's an expression from, you know, from the heart too. I mean, it's you know, it's you getting up there and like I said, you know, bearing your soul and playing like that is you know, it's appreciated, you know, to us as fans. You know, like I tell a lot of the guys I talk to. I mean, it's an expression, but it's kind of like, you know, you getting up there and giving back to us as fans, and that's appreciated. It's cool to hear that too, man.
Yeah, because that, you know, in a sense, like I said, I don't consider myself, you know, a very, you know, just totally phenomenal guitar player. You know, I'm you know, at best, you know, I can just hang with, you know, most of, you know, but at the same time, you know, it's just, for me, what it's all about is just getting up there and sharing, you know, and just, you know, here, man, you know, and hopefully people dig it, you know. Hopefully it's, you know, they have a good time with it or dig it, and that's, you know, that's basically the common goal with it.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. I think what you do that's really cool too is the show that you put on. I mean, it's a, you know, a lot of people forget about that. It's not just getting up there and playing an instrument. It's putting on a show, and it's captivating. Is really what it is. That's what I think is really cool about what you're doing right now.
Sure, you know, that, you know, it is called show business for a reason.
Right, exactly.
Well, that's you know, that's where it comes from, is because that's the way I understand it. It's show business, and that has to be there, you know. And, you know, just a lot of people, I think, have it in them, but you don't see it sometimes because some people are afraid to let loose because they're afraid their friends are going to make fun of them, or, you know,
right.
You know,
right.
You're not at the Megadome. Why would you do all that? You know, well, you know, how did they get there? That's why those guys are there. You know,
right.
Like I said before, it's kind of like being a racehorse. You have to put blinders on, you know, and just kind of keep your eye on the finish line.
You're right.
And don't let any of that stuff around you really interfere, because, you know, if you're doing it right and it seems to keep moving ahead, you know, there's no reason to divert off your course just to make, you know, a handful of people happy, or,
right.
You know, or you know, if people are hating on you, that's fine, because, you know, there's plenty that are going to dig what you do and understand it, you know, and you always have your friends, and,
right.
You know, your friends, your close fans and your close friends, you know, those guys always stick by you. So, you know, and, you know, the other entertainers, they understand what's going on, you know.
You're right. You're right.
Going on. So you gotta, sometimes you just gotta, you know, and that was for me, because, with the no vocals and just wanting to do the guitar expression thing,
right.
I just kind of, the showmanship has to be there, and the music has to flow with no dead air and stuff like that. Otherwise, to me, you'll probably lose your audience fairly quickly,
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, so somebody in the band, if you're in an instrumental band, at some point something has to stand up and be the front band, more or less.
Right, right.
Unless you have a million laser light shows going on or some shit. But
right, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, I'm not into all that. I'd rather get up there and some funny clothes and do the best I can with it.
Yeah, get up there and play, and yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's the simplest form of expression, getting up there and playing, and it's hard to do that too. I mean, I know people don't realize how difficult it is to to get up on stage and do that in front of people. I mean, it takes I give you guys a lot of credit for doing it. I mean, because sometimes it's even for me, it's hard to be up on stage, to announce anything that's going on if I'm at a show or any of that stuff. So I give you a ton of credit, man.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I don't think you ever get over the stage jitters, really. I mean, I've seen, I've met a lot of people, and they don't faze them at all. A lot of guys, man, they get up there and just hammer down. It don't faze them, and
right.
And me, it's still like the first time. Like when I was a kid at the talent show or something. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It still feels that way for me every time. Every time before a show. I mean, I can't. I get jittery, and I get, and to tell you the truth, when we start the set, when I drop the hammer, when the hammer drops,
right.
Mostly everything but the guitar itself, pretty much goes dark to me. I don't, I get kind of what you would call maybe tunnel vision.
Right.
More or less. It's like I can't even, honestly, I've seen the video after, and I'm making eye contact with the audience, but honestly, I don't see anybody.
Right.
It's dark. So, and that's how it happens for me. I don't know about everybody else, but I mean, that's certainly how it happens to me, in case you're wondering. That's pretty much how it all goes down for me, and that's what I remember.
Right.
The drop of the hat, and everything's dark, and it's me and the guitar, and then after the show, the lights come on, and there I am. Hope everything went well.
That's cool. I mean, it's a high level of concentration, and yeah, I guess everybody has their own system to get through, things like that.
Sure.
That's cool to hear, from a musician's side. It really is. And
yeah, some of the, some new licks, most of the new licks I come up with, more than half the time is because I'm, from viewing videos of the show before, and there is some improv. There's a lot of improv in there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the songs you can listen to them and you can tell the spots that are written, and then the spots of the guitars that are improvisation. And, and they're written in such a manner that they can be lengthened or shortened or whatever you want to do with them live, too, the
right.
improv parts.
Right.
And that's a lot of times how I come up with a new lick or something. I'll be watching, the video replay of the night before, and I'll be, oh, wow, man, that's cool, so I'll back it up. How the hell did I do that? Where did that come from? All right. I don't remember that. I remember it being horrible, and that because me, and that's a funny thing. That's another thing, I don't know if you were going to ask or not, but being from the artist point of view, I've had a lot of artists agree with me too. We're our own worst critics too.
Right. Right.
Well, yeah, I'll have people, come up to me, oh man, that was insane, that was great. I'm like, thanks, I had an off night, or, wasn't that great, but thank you, I'm glad, sorry about the train wrecks. And if I watch the video, Right, and I watched the video, and I'm like, wow, that wasn't too bad, but see, the only thing I can remember is those, the chinks and the.
Right.
I remember every single one of those and nothing in between. So,
right.
That's the only thing that sticks out in my mind. Every missed note, every time I, just kind of got hung up at the pick or what have you, or, I went to the change a half a beat too soon or something, but,
right.
maybe that was a quick save. Those are the kind of things that I remember, and then when you watch the video back, it's always so. So yeah, you always got to remember you're going to be your own worst critic because you're the one that's listening to it very, very, very carefully, as opposed to the audience who's enjoying it.
Right.
And
exactly.
Right, they're not honing in on it with a fine-tooth ear as much as you are, being the creator of it all.
Right. And you were saying, just talking about, some of the things you're doing. Tell us a little bit about Massive Headwind. I was listening to, I got to listen to the songs, on the album, and, like I said, I got to tie back to some of the YouTube videos and stuff, and it's really some cool stuff. What all went into the, to the writing of the album, and, what was your, what was your ideas going in as a songwriter and a musician?
Basically, as a songwriter, some of those, and I would have to say, 70% of those riffs are old riffs that I just collected over time, that I wrote back when I was in my teenage years, just practicing, and that's how I write. I come up with riffs when I'm just, I'm having a day that I'm just practicing, just diddling, just a day to sit down with my guitar, and that's how a riff usually happens,
Right.
Eventually, 4 hours later, you're wailing on something, and you're like, oh wow, so you start, and then you can't help it. It's the musician in you that you've got to mess with this thing, and so now you got to part to the song, but yeah, that's how a lot of those riffs on that Massive Headwind album are old riffs that I've just had through years of practicing, and just I just kind of always hung on to them because they were. I was never really in any original bands coming up, to write original songs anyway. And it, personally, if you hear the riffs, they're really, I think they're more geared for this kind of music anyway. And this particular record was of a very heavy nature, because a lot of those riffs come from when I was younger. So yeah, it was a lot of heavy riffs on there, and of course the Massive Headwind thing. The song Massive Headwind is pretty much my favorite to record and play, and it was my favorite of the whole record. It's even really the only one I actually listen to off the record from time to time. So I decided to call the record Massive Headwind, and I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I just had a picture of a skull with a guitar smashing through it,
Right.
And because of the album being in such a heavy nature, that was just kind of, and it wasn't on purpose. It's just, that's just how I was during the writing of this record. I was just, in that, I'm going to smash my guitar through your head mode,
Right.
And I hope, and I listen to it, and you look at the album cover while you listen to the record, and hopefully that is what, because, a lot of people, hopefully that helps someone on a bad day, or some dude he comes home and, let's say he's a fan of mine, he puts on the record, he's like, yeah, and he's,
right.
By the time he's that record, he feels much better, he got it out, and that's all it is, but
right.
Again, it was just a really, I'm not going to say pissed off, I don't want to be mean and stuff, but it was the record, to me, it just the way it turned out, it was just, it was time to let everybody have it, and
right.
That, being my second record, of course, it's not all out of my system yet, so, this new record that I'm currently recording is, it's definitely got, some in-your-face shredding moments, but on a whole other spectrum, I really, I love to play different guitars a lot.
Right.
I've never really been one that, like, I prefer just one type of guitar or one specific guitar, and that's it. I like playing different guitars because I play them differently. You play them differently. So, when I pick up one guitar, whether I like it or not, it's going to be totally irrelevant. We'll figure that out. But even if I like it, I've always, because of maybe my eccentric guitar style or different style or learning myself, I always thought that I played certain guitars, I just play them differently. So, and that's what this new record, I played a lot of different guitars on it. So there's some different stuff coming at you, and it's to me, I think it's a little bit more musically matured, than my first two records, which were all out. Like I said, I just had to get it all out.
Right.
I had to come out and fireballs all over the place. So
right.
I think the record, I've got it all out of my system now, and I think this new record's going to show that. And I can only hope that people enjoy it, and I get some new fans from it as well.
I'm definitely looking to hear, some of the new material. I like what you're doing, like I said, and I, the showmanship and the playing, and it's always good to, and to bring this up as well. I mean, the band sounds great as well. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about the band? How did you get with the musicians that you're with right now?
Okay, yeah, well, certainly. The original drummer that I had, he was a good friend of mine, and he was holding the beat, but it never really, it was more, he was more of a cover style drummer,
Right.
And I needed someone a little more original, and I had met the gentleman that's on the first two records, and Graham Leach, and
right.
Obviously you heard the records, phenomenal,
right?
And we got along really well, and we recorded those two records, and I was having a lot of problems keeping bass players, when I first started putting this together,
right.
And it for whatever reason, some guys, they kept coming, and they're like, man, I really think you need to get vocals, dude, because this isn't going to go anywhere, and nobody's ever going to like it, I want to learn 40 covers because I'm playing for money, and I want to, meet girls or whatever. I'm like,
right.
I'm like, whatever. You obviously don't understand what I'm doing here. So, he would go, and then I had another bass player, and he loved to play, but he didn't think that, he didn't understand why we had to practice all the time.
Right.
And so, obviously he wasn't for me, and
right.
and I'm gonna, I'm a nice guy, but I'm very hard to work with because I understand, the work ethic that's involved with anything.
Right.
Not just music, but anything in life. I mean, if you're looking to move forward, or succeed in anything in life, there's a certain amount of work ethic that you're going to have and be willing to put into it. And,
right.
Obviously, so I am kind of what you might call the band Nazi. Yeah,
right.
Like I said, I had been with one drummer, and, and just wasn't cutting it, and so I got rid of him, and then the bass players, I got all them. I just, the minute they showed a sign of me not, that I was like, they're gone. I don't have time, to waste,
exactly.
with unmotivated people. So my wife, she's always been a jack of all trades as far as music goes. She plays a little bit of everything. She plays guitar, and she's she's got a beautiful voice, you know. And so she, you know, toyed around with the idea, well, you know, why don't you just write the bass parts or show me what you want played, and, you know, I'll play them.
Right.
And that's been working out ever since. Now she writes her own bass parts, basically. You know, I just kind of give her an idea what I'm looking for. But,
right.
Yeah, you know, on the first record, I kind of wrote all the bass lines, but now, you know, the second record, you know, all those bass lines were, you know, those were all her. So that works out well. And the drummer that's on Massive Headroom currently isn't in the band.
Okay.
Now, the drummer I'm working with now, you know, his name is Mikkel, and he's a really good friend of mine, and he's the one that's currently recording the new record with me. And
cool.
Yeah, the Graham Leach, the drummer before him, you know, obviously, you know, you heard the record. He's very good.
Right.
But you know, we just had some personal issues, and you know, and for whatever reason, you know, I'm not gonna live on air or whatever, but
that's fine.
We had some personal things, and so you know, sometimes it's not meant to be, you know.
Right.
And me and Mikkel, we hit it off. I met him. He was helping me run sound at shows and stuff with my sound equipment, and we got to talking, and you know, he had mentioned he was a drummer, and yeah, we've been jamming together. We're recording this new record together, which I'm really excited about, and you know, he's a different style of drummer than Graham was, so, and that kind of, in a way, was almost what I needed to push me in the direction that I wanted to go with my music, you know, as of late.
Right.
You know, because Graham was like me, you know, he was so heavy, you know, and so fast and so aggressive, and that was great. But it you know, I do need someone that's gonna maybe keep me in check or pull me a different direction also at the same time, you know.
Right.
I mean, this is my vision, of course, and my thing, but at the same time, you know, I do have to, I don't want to be coming out with the same old thing, you know, year after year after year or whatever, you know, what have you. I do want to grow musically for the people and the fans, you know, for people to enjoy, you know. You know, like we mentioned earlier with Ingve, obviously, you know, I can hear him for the rest of my life never change, you know, because he never will. But I'm fine with that.
Right.
But he kind of invented something, so that, you know, stick with it. Why change?
Right.
But me, you know, like I said, so with the new drummer I'm currently working with now, we got a totally different sound with the band, and I think it's really going to turn out to be a really good thing for us this coming year.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I understand what you're saying too. I mean, you don't want to, you know, go in with the same thing. You know, and that helps you to grow too as a musician. To have somebody else's ideas in there. You know, like you said, you know, it's your ideas, but you know, maybe you know somebody else's perspective. Maybe that triggers something else in you, and that just helps you to grow, and that's a good thing.
Right, for sure. You know, it's always good to, you know, have a few different flavors in the band, you know, because then you got a little something different to contribute here and there, and that always helps. Which, you know, isn't the case with most bands. You know, every band you're in, everybody's going to have a little bit different of a style to them. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's what makes it, you know, that's what makes it really cool and fun to do.
I agree. How about like you know I got to watch you know some of the shows and the footage on YouTube and anything. How about some of the shows that you have coming up? Is there anything that you want to get out there to the fans?
Right now, we're currently booking and planning for 2018. I don't have anything, you know, substantial lined up for the rest of the year. I do have a double benefit that I'm going to do in October right here locally in our town.
Cool.
It's in Fort Pierce at Rizzo's Side Door Lounge, and one of them is Bands Helping Hands, which is it's to raise money, and I think we're buying slices of pizza for the less fortunate, and
that's great.
Which is really that's a good thing to do, and also that following weekend is part 2 of the fundraiser that that Rizzo's has going on. It's to help out the people in Texas who went through Harvey, which was an unfortunate thing, and we have the Sony recording artist Leaving Eden is playing that particular one with us, which I'm excited to meet those guys. Man, they are.
That's cool.
They're about as hot as it gets right now.
Right.
Right, and it like I said, it's a very small show, so it's kind of awesome to be, that Leaving Eden is going to be there, and we're going to be on the bill as well. So that actually, if you're a fan of local shows, you might want to get out to that one because it's definitely a bill that you would normally pay for sure.
Oh, exactly.
And of course, that's next month. Right here, right now, we're staring down the barrel of a gun here in South Florida at the moment. So
right.
Things are about to get a little rough for the next couple of days around here, but we're gonna ride it out.
Oh man, just seeing that, I was going to ask you about that too. My prayers are with you, my friend. I mean, I know you guys are. You guys really have to, hunker down on that one. So you're going to ride it out.
I have to, because here where our rehearsal studio is, it's also it's my home where I live, and
right.
We also run a rescue mission out here for animals. So we have a lot of animals and stuff. So I can't. You don't leave them behind. You got to stay with them.
Right. That's great to hear that.
We're going to pull it up. We're going to get in the middle of the house, and we're going to ride this one in to shore. We're going to catch this wave. So
that's cool to hear.
I've been through many of them. That's a part of. It's kind of a way of life here in Florida. You either learn to roll with it, or it's obviously not for you.
Right. And you guys get them down there, regularly. Not regularly, but every. At this time of year, it's always a good chance, huh?
Yeah, tropical storms are abundant, and your occasional one or two. This one here is rather serious. I really, this one's a little nerve-wracking because it is pretty big, but at the same time, I think everybody's going to be okay. Most of the damage, it's all going to be structural or material.
Right.
I think if you're prepared and you just go into survival mode, everybody will be okay, and you can rebuild after that. You just pick up and you move forward. So.
You're right. Hey, another thing I wanted to ask you, now that we're talking is, Sam told me you're from Pennsylvania.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really cool, Lancaster. Yeah, because when I was a kid, we lived in Quakertown, which is out that direction. Yeah, so it's been a while. I always liked that area out there. It was really nice. I mean, I was really young when we lived out there, but it was, I remember those times, and it's cool to hear, that you're from Pennsylvania. So we have a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was pretty when I went on your page, and I saw, like, oh wow, cool, Pennsylvania, man, awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I was really young when I moved here to Florida, and probably I would say between 11 and 12 years old.
Right.
When I moved to Florida, but oh man, I still remember. I'm from the town of Conestoga.
Okay.
Which, for anybody listening, Conestoga is definitely what it sounds like. It's the Conestoga wagon, and it's got one red light, and yeah, it's a very small town I guess it's out on the outer edges of the Amish area. So
right,
yeah,
right.
my childhood there, growing up as a kid, was very cool. It was very fun, and I'm totally, for sure, glad that I at least got to spend, a good part of my childhood up north in Pennsylvania in the mountains and stuff. So it was good times.
That's cool to hear. How about like any eventually, like you said, in 2018, you're starting to put things together. Would there be any chance of you coming back up this direction to Pennsylvania?
I'm definitely working on that. I have really, from what I understand, from talking to some family members up there, I have a pretty good following up there.
That's cool.
More of a, it's always like a silent following, but I for sure do have somewhat of a following up there. It's just a matter of finding the right place, and the right. It is rather expensive to travel, so
right.
we have to make sure that we have other things lined up,
Right.
I'm really looking forward to getting up there. It's just a matter of when. I don't know if it's going to be in 2018 because right now what we're working on in 2018, everything's kind of taking us west.
Right.
We're working on something in LA, and
cool.
I recently connected with a really cool killer group of people out in New Mexico.
Nice.
And we're hoping to get maybe something going out there. And Texas, we had some contacts in Texas that we were talking to. So hopefully for 2018, that looks like that would be the direction the tour is going to go next year. This past year now, I went north, and that was my intention, was to get to Pennsylvania, but we never made it that far. So we made it to Tennessee and North Carolina and back. So, which by far my favorite part of the whole tour was Hendersonville, Tennessee. I mean,
right.
Talk about, music, everything. And when you get near Nashville and anywhere outside of Nashville, even, it's just everything's so musical in that part of the world.
Right.
It was just unreal. Everywhere you look, there's like a giant guitar or
right. You're right.
Staff, right? Or all the stores are named after musical instruments or something. It was just like, I was like, wow, I couldn't believe how much different it was than it is here in South Florida, for sure.
Right. It's a different way of life. It's a very nice state. Very nice state. And it's
for sure.
It's
you
good.
mentioned Nashville, and a lot of people, the first thing that comes to their mind is country music, and that's just not true. It's a music city, period. It is very well known and renowned, and that is where your best country comes from. Kind of like L.A.
Right.
That's where your best rock and roll comes from. But there's country and there's all kinds of music in L.A. too as well. There's just these places, and definitely I would say Nashville and the surrounding area. That's definitely one of the places. If you're in a band, you definitely want to seek out playing those areas because, man, we had a great time, and the musicians there and all the bands, and they're just really great people,
right.
and they, they're all about it, and I had a really great time there.
That's cool to see that you guys are getting out there too. It's good to see guys like yourself. Down to earth, great musicians, and obviously very fan oriented, and really, Mikey, I wish you the best, man. I just hope you guys do well with this new album. I hope the word gets out, and
I appreciate that.
And more people need to hear you, man, because it's like I said, it's great. It's great music. It's great to see a guy up there, just letting it out, enjoying himself, putting on a great show, caring about the fans, and it really is, a pleasure for me to speak to you and to get the word out for you, or at least help get the word out for you.
Oh, my pleasure, and thank you, man. I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot coming from, a music buff, for sure. For sure.
You know what, man?
No, for sure. It's great that, when you find somebody that's really into music like I am, as you are, and to hear that, then that's, for me, that's kind of the reward of it all,
Right.
To hear from anybody, like you said, for the fans, when someone comes up to me after a show and they're like, man, dude, I'm not a musician, but, I've seen this guy and this band, and I got to tell you, man, you were just as good. It was awesome. And that, that's something that, to me, that's the payoff, That's just, to know that somebody actually, enjoyed it to that extent is that's mind blowing, and that gives you the confidence then, to carry on.
Right, you deserve to be appreciated. Like I said, earlier in the interview, it's an art form. I mean, it is. I had, Chris from Rough Cut. We just interviewed a few weeks ago, and I think he put it best is when he said it's the ultimate form of human expression is music, and it really is. I mean, people need to look at it. Nowadays it doesn't seem like they appreciate it as much as they should. Everything is so fast-paced and crazy, and with everything hitting you on all sides, social media and everything. I always look at music as like what you said in the beginning is, if you have a bad day, or even if you have a great day, music always makes it better. And that's really what it is for me. Right.
Exactly. Even if it's angry music, it still makes it better.
Right. You're right. You're right.
Well, exactly. And for me, and I'm not saying this in a bad way either, because me, it's always been the music itself, not necessarily the words. A lot of people,
right.
They have a bad day, and they like to just listen to their favorite songs and sing along, their favorite verses, which
right.
And that's cool too. But like you were saying, it is the ultimate form of human expression, and to me, it's the original. The first form of human expression was music. You go back to before electricity,
right.
And music didn't have any words. It was
right.
all classical. It was all classical.
Right.
Classical music, it was all classical music. That's where music comes from, classical music. And,
exactly.
So to me, while vocals are great and all that, it's to me, the expression of it all is in the instrumentation, and that's the form of expression, and that's, to me, what the stage is for. And, even bands, the vocalist, I mean, let's face it, they're going to have to put on some kind of a show. He's got to, your best, your most famous legendary vocalists. I mean, watch their videos.
Right.
They put on a show.
Right.
And that is. You can have, all the instrumentation of the vocalization you want, but unless there's some form of expression going on behind it, you're not going to really feel much. The instrumentation is always, because let's face it, a love song, I mean, it sounds like a love song,
Right, right, you're right.
You're not going to write love lyrics over a riff like Holy Wars,
Right. Exactly, exactly.
So think about it,
Right.
And I'm always saying that it's not because I'm against vocals. I'm like, no, man, vocals are great. They're some of my favorite jams. I love my old, I love Dio. I love all that shit. Ronnie James Dio, incredible.
Oh yeah.
All of it.
Right.
My favorite. But just my personal taste. I've always gravitated towards the instrumentals, even as a kid, like jamming to old records. Like Black Sabbath, Paranoid.
Right.
The song that I listened over and over again when I was a little kid was Rat Salad.
Right.
That's the instrumental on the album with the drum solo in it. And
Right.
I listened to that. I would listen to that song over and over again. When it would stop, I'd pick the needle up and drag it back over. You know.
Right.
I love that song, and that was just natural for me. You know, and so that explains, you know, probably my love for instrumental guitar and whatnot, instrumental music. It's, you know, it's just naturally what I gravitated towards. You know,
Right.
even as a kid, listening to you know your regular bands, I always did gravitate towards the B-side instrumentals that were on the records and stuff. But, yeah, you're right. It definitely is the ultimate. He's right. It definitely is the ultimate expression is music. You know, I mean, they say, you know, that's why you know, that's where the tuning came from. Standard tuning came from. Is there's a frequency that's in tune with the universe, and
Right.
you know, we can go on with that all day. But,
You're right.
yeah, for me it's B flat, but
Exactly.
I disagree with the A440 thing. I'm an E flat guy, but yeah.
That's cool.
Man.
That's cool. How about any last words, you know, for the audience, Mikey?
Last words, like last words as in this is the end, or last words as in like
Last words is anything else that you want to get out to you know, to the audience? Anything you know? I know you said you're working on, you know, new material, you got a new album, you know, coming out in the works, and
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, first of all, I appreciate everybody. You know, my friends, my fans, all of my close musician friends down here in the local scene, and you know, you guys up there in PA, and you know, everybody that's you know, come in contact and has had positive words and continues to support. Man, I appreciate you all, and you know, I mean, I can't tell you what it all means. You know, just you know, a guy jamming on the guitar, and you know, you all make it what it is. You know, just by you know, liking it and jamming to it. That just, you know, for me, I'm just totally dumbfounded sometimes that you know, when people pick up on it. You know, it's just, I'm like, really? Cool, thank you. You know, to me, I'm just doing what I really. To me, I'm just doing what I do. You know, but that's great. And I want to give a shout out to Von York Guitar Strings and Sinister Guitar Picks. That's what I play. So
cool.
Got to give them a shout out. And you know, keep a lookout for us in 2018, man. A lot of big things coming up that we're working on. And the new album is entitled Brown Paper Bag, and it should be out early 2018, within a couple months.
Cool.
And yeah, pretty much that's about it. I want to give a shout out to Sambone Promos. She's my right hand. I mean,
Right.
Without her, man, you know, I'd be a wreck with all this. You know, it's a lot. It is. It's a lot to keep track of sometimes.
No doubt.
You know, so she helps out a lot with that, and you know, she's been just instrumental in spreading the word. You know, so you know, I definitely got to give a shout out to my Sambone, and you know, just everybody out there in Shred Guitar Land, man. You know, if you enjoy what I'm doing, go ahead and look us up on Facebook, and if you like the songs, you can buy any of our records on Amazon Music, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, you name it. Pretty much most digital retailers, we're up there. So you know, enjoy everybody, and I hope to get out there and meet everybody real soon. You know, again.
It'd be cool to meet you, man. You know, and everybody, you know, everybody that's listening, you know, Mikey Cunningham, this guy, you know, if you haven't heard of him yet, you know, I definitely highly recommend that you look him up. I mean, he's a great player. You know, he's a great showman. You know, the band, you know, sounds great, and he's out there, you know, giving the fans what they want. You know, he's a great performer, like I said. And now after this interview, I want to say he's a great guy too. I mean, it was great talking to you, man. And like I said before, I wish you the best. I'll help you get the word out any way you want. The new material comes out. We'll get a review out for you. But just keep on trucking, man. Because we're listening. We enjoy it, and you made another fan in Pennsylvania, my friend.
Oh, John, I appreciate that, man. 100%. Thank you very much, man, and likewise as well. It was a pleasure talking to you, man, and I definitely met a great friend tonight for sure. Right on, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Like I said, we'll get it out there. Look up Mikey on Facebook. Listen to the stuff. New material coming out. This guy can play, man. So get out there and listen to him. And I just, I want to say thanks again, Mikey, and I hope you have a great night. And we'll get this interview out there, to the fans. And you have my support forever, man. You just keep hanging in there. And anything you need, rockingthefastlane.com, man. We're here to help.
Oh, thank you, John. I greatly appreciate that, man.
And you have a good night, Mikey. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time, man.
All right, man. You have a great night.
You do the same. Thanks a lot.